Hello, everybody, and thank you for joining me today. It's Allan Laboucan with the Rocks and Stocks News Show. Got another of our In the News segments that got some good companies to talk about. So we're going to get right into that. Let me just share a screen here. The first company I'm going to talk about is i-80 Gold. i-80 Gold receives approval to begin drilling in the Hilltop corridor at Ruby Hill. This is a very exciting development because they've already found a bonanza CRD in this area near Eureka, Nevada. And this gives them the ability to really go after that whole. There's an entire corridor that they now control with key structures that go all the way from the Archimedes pit to the old Ruby Hill mine. And they did that by acquiring Paycore minerals. I was really happy about that because both i-80 Gold and Paycore well, in the case of Paycore, they were a sponsor of my show. They no longer exist because now they've been folded into i-80 Gold, who is a sponsor. And this Hilltop corridor is quite spectacular, to say the least. I think it is quickly becoming the most important discovery and exploration region in Nevada. And they announced that they received approval from the Bureau of Land Management and Nevada Bureau of Mining Regulation and Reclamation for another 24 acres of disturbance consisting of up to 70 additional drill pads on its 100% owned Ruby Hill property. And this will allow them to test 3-kilometer long unexplored structural corridor between the Hilltop deposits and the recently acquired Paycore Minerals property. So i-80 Gold at their Hilltop Bonanza CRD discovery have found what looks like an excellent CRD discovery. And while they were doing that, Paycore, which is about 3 kilometers away, was doing the same thing, finding a bonanza CRD. So now i-80 Gold controls that whole corridor. And as they say, Ruby Hill is one of 3 core assets being developed by i-80. It hosts a Carlin-type gold deposit and multiple carbonate replacement deposits. They've found multiple zones of high-grade CRD and skarn mineralization proximal to the Hilltop fault at Ruby Hill. And then they acquired Paycore for its exploration potential at its FAD deposit, which is one of the highest grade polymetallic deposits in North America. They mentioned that the consolidation of the Hilltop corridor provides i-80 with a favorable structural trend that measures more than 3 kilometers and is host to multiple historic mines and new gold and polymetallic deposits. So that's kind of the recipe for success in that area, looking at historical mining areas. Then you've got this network of faulting that is important for the controls of the mineralization and, of course, making big high-grade discoveries. And that's exactly what they've done at the Upper Hilltop. One of the series of high-grade CRDs located to the south of the Archimedes pit included 515 grams of silver, 28.9% lead, 10% zinc, and 0.9 grams of gold over 28 meters. Another hole had 1.9 grams of gold, 631 grams of silver, 7.4% zinc, 33% lead. They had a 60 grammer of gold, 908 grams of silver, 1.1% zinc, and 15.7% lead over 10 meters. So these are nice thick intersections for CRDs with very high grade mineralization of both your CRD which is silver, lead, and zinc, and also this overprint of high-grade gold. They've also had high-grade CRD and skarn mineralization at the East Hilltop area, and there they hit 12.3% zinc over 39.4 meters, 226 grams of silver, 9.7% zinc, 10% lead over 8.4 meters. So this is quite an interesting area from a geological perspective because it's got your skarn mineralization. It's also got these CRDs, and it also has Carlin gold. They've got quite a spectacular combination there. So then when they acquired Paycore and added 3,600 acres to their land package, the FAD deposit has a historic non-43-101 compliant resource with 3.5 million tons at 5 grams of gold, 96 grams of silver, 8% zinc, and 3.8% lead. And then they did Paycore did some drilling around there and hit very nice grades of gold, silver, zinc, lead over nice thick intersections for CRD on several holes. And so they've also completed geophysical surveys, and they've identified highly prospective anomalies that believed to have the potential to represent additional massive sulfide targets. Several of these anomalies will be tested in 2023, and additional geophysical surveys are being done right now on this hilltop, or from hilltop to the FAD deposit. So here you can see the blackjack, that's the skarn. Here's the historical pit. Here's the Holly mine. These are all the past mines. And then this is the area that they found the hilltop discovery. And this is the area that they found their Ruby Deeps Carlin deposit that has very thick intersections of what looks like high-grade bulk underground mining potential. FAD is the discovery that Paycore made. And as you can see, there's a network of these blue hatched lines are faulting that's in the area as well. So these are the controls for the mineralization, more past mining. So again, that's the recipe in Eureka. It had a very long history of mining from the 1860s to the 1960s for these CRD deposits that were very high grade. And then the attention of a lot of the exploration in Nevada became on the oxide deposits, big open pit, low grade oxide deposits that had very low costs and made a lot of money. And then I-80's success and Paycore's success have reopened this Eureka camp quite substantially. And so I'm very, as you can tell, maybe I'm very positive about what I-80 Gold is doing in that region, from their hilltop deposit all the way down to their new FAD deposit that they got from Paycore. And that corridor looks quite spectacular. And now they've got the approval to go ahead and drill aggressively on it. And I think they're going to generate a lot of great news from that work that they're doing. And stay tuned for more from I-80 Gold, interviews that I do with you and Downey, and more news. And yeah, as always, do your homework on these companies, and really happy to have I-80 Gold on the sponsorship program. So now to the immediate south of I-80 Gold, and slightly to the west, is North Peak Resources. And I recently made them a new pick on my shows. And what I like about North Peak is here they announced that they filed a technical report from the Prospect Mountain Mine Complex. And some of the takeaways from that technical report, I might be one of a small group of people that actually read those technical reports. I think investors should as well, because they can learn a lot about a project from those technical reports. But the basics are very similar to what you saw at what I-80 Gold is doing to their immediate north, and what Paycore did. And that is, you go into these areas where there's been historical mining, and look in these structurally controlled areas for additional mineralization. Now, at the Prospect Mountain Complex, there is quite an extensive 11 miles of underground workings that were done way back when. What was quite spectacular about that is there are some reports out there of the very high-grade mineralization. In fact, they talk about it in the technical report that using today's prices, they were processing rock there that was, $1,500 to $2,000 a ton rock. So that's a good place to look for a new mine. And some of the other things that came out of that is that the way they talk about the mineralization really reminds me a lot of what happened for the success for I-80 Gold. There is the potential for skarn mineralization, CRD mineralization, and Carlin type mineralization. And that's exactly what I-80 Gold has found up to the immediate north of them. That high value rock is always an intention getter to me. I like high grade, especially when you can potentially underground mine it, which had been done on this project in the past. And what's nice about that underground workings is that it's well above the water table. So there's no water issues in the tunnels. They're dry. They can go in there and they can do a lot of sampling on the walls of the underground workings. They can use that underground workings in the future for underground drilling. And so it's a very compelling story it's a new entrant into the Eureka camp. And also quite important is that it's a very tightly held stock. There's only about 30 million shares out on it. And it's got a very strong team that's had a lot of success in the past. It's the same team that founded Kirkland Lake Gold. Kirkland Lake was one of these big success stories that ultimately was bought out for several $1 billion. These guys, the same team was also involved with the company that's doing a lot of good work in Finland. And so you've got a very accomplished group of managers of the company that have been, this isn't their first rodeo. They've been down this road before, and they're really putting a lot of their attention on the Eureka camp just to the immediate south of I-80 Gold. And I think that they're going to have a lot of success. Those old-time miners, they were good at chasing things that they could see starting at surface, but this property really hasn't had a lot of modern exploration on it. And it's very reminiscent of what happened up at I-80 Gold's project. So I'm a big fan of the Eureka camp. I'm very positive about North Peak Resources getting into that camp. I think that they're following the same recipe for success as I-80 Gold. They're going in and compiling all the old work and doing their own work and getting ready to drill. And when they drill, I think they have a high probable prospects of hitting some impressive stuff. So North Peak is a new pick. And I advise you to go take a look at that technical report, because there's a lot of great information in there that I think will help you to do your homework on North Peak Resources. All righty, now I'm going to move over to VR Resources. So what's really got me excited about VR Resources is that they've gone in and they found a new kimberlite discovery. This is the rock that hosts diamond deposits, and it's in Ontario. It's south of the Victor mine, and I'm seeing some very exciting things out of this project. First of all, I think what's got a lot of people in the diamond world excited about this project is that it's a geophysical anomaly, a mag low, that is very large, 1,200 meters across, which, you know, in the terms of diamond deposits out there in kimberlites, it's a very large kimberlite. And so, you know, it would make it one of the largest new discoveries in many decades. And what has me excited about the project so far is they drilled their first hole into it, and they kind of just clipped the edge of the anomaly, and they hit mainly fine grain kimberlite in that hit. But it was a proof of concept that, you know, that they've got a kimberlite here, and it could be, and it's likely a very big kimberlite. So then they went in with the second hole, and they got through that fine grain kimberlite and got into the coarse grain kimberlite. Now, why that's really important is that fine grain kimberlite tends to be low grade. It's really that coarse kimberlite that you want, because in the coarse kimberlite, that has what's called good carrying capacity. And in the early days of exploration, you have to bear in mind that in the upper mantle where diamonds grow, there is a lot more indicator minerals than there is diamonds. And so in the early stages, those diamond indicator minerals can tell you a lot about the potential of the kimberlite. So what I've seen so far is some very coarse grained indicator minerals, which gives you an indication that the carrying capacity of the kimberlite, if it's able to grab a lot of indicator minerals from the upper mantle when the volcanic event happens, if there is diamonds there, it can also pick up a lot of diamonds. So carrying capacity is an important part. So then they also showed some pictures of the drill core, and I think more companies should do this, and show the drill core, and it allows people like myself that have a lot of experience in kimberlites and diamond exploration to sort of see what the potential is. And that is, you know, I think important for the shareholders as well, because, you know, they are sort of funding, are they not sort of, they are funding that exploration, and giving them information that's helpful to them understanding what they're investing in, I think is very helpful, and a trend that I think you're going to see more of in the future. So they showed some very nice core pictures of that coarse kimberlite that I talked about, but they probably only got maybe 50 or 70 meters into that coarse kimberlite. But I saw some very nice diamond indicator minerals that we don't know a lot about them yet, because once you get those diamond indicator minerals, then you use an electron microprobe, which allows you to get the chemical composition of those indicator minerals. Why that's so important is that there are certain kinds of indicator minerals that are known to be part of diamonds, either inclusions inside of diamonds or attached to the outside of diamonds. And so when you get those right kind of chemical compositions, it gives you an indication of the diamond potential, not just that there will be diamonds there, but also it can give you the idea of whether there will be big and high quality diamonds there. And another thing that's got me really excited about that kimberlite discovery is that they are south of the Victor mine. Now, what made the Victor mine quite spectacular is that it didn't have a high grade in a carats per ton, about a quarter of a carat per ton, but it had extremely high quality diamonds. And so on a carat value per carat basis, it was very high. Some of the best looking diamonds I have ever seen in a run of mine. Years ago, I was at the PDAC conference, and De Beers had a display there, and they showed the run of mine from Victor and their other mines, and the Victor diamonds in the run of mine were spectacular. Almost all clear and nice shapes to them. Whereas it was quite distinct, the difference in the quality compared to a lot of their other diamonds. Some believe that this might be the best quality diamonds anywhere in the world in a kimberlite. And so from a geological perspective, they're very close. There could be it could have tapped a similar part of the upper mantle. So you've got the size potential, you've got the carrying capacity with the coarse kimberlite and coarse grained indicator minerals, and then you're not that far from Victor. So it's got quite a compelling story. I would say that you know, there are some things that I'll be looking for in the third hole that they're doing now. This third hole, they're planning to do a lot deeper into that coarse part of the kimberlite. So what you want to see in a cross section like that is that when the first pulse of the kimberlite or volcanic event happens, it creates a path of least resistance for future kimberlite intrusions. So they're called multi-phased kimberlites. So they'll have multiple phases to the kimberlite, and you can have different diamonds in those different phases. And so by getting a hole cutting across that kimberlite, it will give the indications of the various different phases of that kimberlite. So then other variables you got to watch for is that, you know, diamonds are very small in a kimberlite. 1 carat, which would make it a high grade kimberlite, would only is only 0.2 of a gram. So think about looking for 0.2 of a gram inside of a ton of rock. So that's why statistical analysis of the diamond distribution is so important. And in order to get a reasonable idea of the diamond content and its diamond distribution curve, you need to get a fairly sizable sample to, you know, deal with these issues of how small a diamond is. But as I said earlier, another good indicator will be the diamond indicator minerals. So I'm very excited to see them get a nice thick intersection of that kimberlite. Probably will cut across different phases. And I think that I'm hoping that they don't do a lot of diamond analysis of the fine grained kimberlite, because that's statistically it doesn't have great carrying capacity, and you're probably not going to find a lot of diamonds in it. What I am hopeful of is that they segregate out the coarse kimberlite and the different phases, so you can see the diamond indicator minerals in that. and their chemical compositional trends, as well as the diamonds themselves, if they have diamonds. Now, it's also important to note that early, when you're taking these small samples, I know a lot of people will watch for the diamond content and either, call it a boom or a bust based on those early diamond samples. But when you're taking a small sample, especially if, for example, you've got something like a Victor, you might not have a great deal of diamonds in it. So that means that the diamond indicator minerals will give you more of an indication. And I'm planning to follow all of this developments very closely. But then I kind of look at it as what else do they have? Because of this diamond potential that they have, they've actually been able to buck the trend that's happening with a lot of juniors right now. It's well above its 50-day moving average and well above its 200-day moving average, when a lot of stocks are below those moving averages. And so you kind of want to look at, well, what else do they have as the backstop for, if this diamond thing doesn't turn out well, you're kind of protected on that side, because look at this news that they had. VR confirms IP and conductivity targets for multiple centers within the copper, moly, silver porphyry system at its new Boston property in Nevada. And then they give you a bunch of details about the indications that they could be onto something here. And there's a quote from Dr. Michael Dunning, who's the CEO of VR Resources, and he stated, and I quote, "Technology matters. Surface work and reconnaissance drilling at New Boston by Conoco Gulf and Bear Creek in the 1960s and 70s established the sheer scale of the porphyry skarn system across a strike length of 4 kilometers of sheeted and stockwork veins exposed on surface, and significant grades and thickness of moly mineralization in numerous drill holes. But a sector collapse in 1981 left that work unfinished with regard to identifying and drilling a mineralized porphyry intrusion as a source for the sheeted and stockwork veins exposed at surface. Some 40 years later, new multi-sensor gradient magnetics and 3D array DCIP geophysical technologies that were not available to Conoco at this time now provide VR with a clear path forward to complete the story and undertake the drilling that was actually proposed by Conoco to follow up on the garnet magnetite biotite stockwork veins observed in drill holes NB1 and NB4. So that's not the only project that they have. They also, in close proximity to the kimberlite discovery, they also have a rare earth element discovery. And these rare earth elements are critical minerals that are needed in lots of technology. And really that market is controlled by China. And so it's really important to get a North American source of that. And Hecla Kilmer has shown a lot of potential for that. And so that, I think that's your downside protection, is your New Boston and Hecla Kilmer and some of their other projects. But your blue sky potential is the kimberlite. There really hasn't been an important kimberlite discovery in Canada in many years. And it's reminiscent to me of what happened in the early days of the Diamant discovery. We were going through a tough market at that time, and then out of the blue came Diamant and the discovery of kimberlites. The first one didn't really turn out to be anything, but then they ultimately found what turned into the Acadie diamond mine, which was the first diamond mine in Canada. So it was really sort of Phoenix rising from the ashes kind of a leader. The junior market was in the ashes, and then they were the Phoenix. And I kind of think that could happen again here with VR Resources. So that's why I made them a pick, and I'm following them closely. And Yeah, I like their story a lot. Okay, my company where I'm the CEO, Advanced Lithium, we announced that we're undertaking a $1 million financing that will be partially hard dollars and partially flow through. And what we're raising money to do is we've got exciting projects in lithium, uh, silver and gold in Mexico. And also we acquired a large land package of 170 square kilometers in the Bathurst mining camp. And so we're raising money to roll up our sleeves and get working on our various different projects. I'm really excited about Bathurst because this is one of the top three VMS mining camps in the world. It's real elephant country. And we've got the project from Wolfden, and Wolfden did a lot of great work on the project. So it gives us a jump start to doing additional exploration work. And the properties also hold some non-compliant 43101 non-43101 compliant resources that were done many decades ago. One of them is actually about 25 million tons that it is believed it could be the debris flow from a VMS. So we want to get in there and try to understand that system and see if we can find a primary VMS. There's also been epithermal veins found on the claims, and also high-grade boulders in the northeast claims where there was lots of surface sampling done, and we have some very distinct geochemical anomalies with precious metals, gold and silver, base metals, including copper and zinc, as well as pathfinder minerals, and they're overlapping each other and distinct indicator trends with up ice cutoffs in close proximity to structures. So that's a prime place to look for the source of these high-grade boulders that have been found in close proximity. So I'm very excited about getting onto that. I'm also very excited about our Serape project. This is to the north, the immediate north of Las Chispas, which is the discovery that has been made and is a excellent new mine. Silvercrest has it, and they put out their first quarter of full commercial production, and it had they're producing silver for about $11.85 an ounce. And they're selling it for over $20, and it looks like in the future they're going to be selling it for very much more. So it's a real cash machine. They've been able to pay down 95% of the cost to bring it into production, and also build up their cash in the first full quarter of commercial production. And what's exciting about our project is it looks like the network of epithermal, well, doesn't look like it, that network looks to continue onto our property, because on our property there was a 5-kilometer epithermal vein found and a 2-kilometer one, and it outcrops in many spots along those along strike. And the sampling on that has been shows widespread gold and silver mineralization. And there was some limited drilling, only about 5 holes into the big vein, and that hit quartz breccia. And so that indicates that you're still above the boiling zone of the epithermal vein. So that deeper drilling remains. In the 2-kilometer vein, it only had 1 hole into it. And again, it's in this quartz breccia. And so that, again, is indication that you're still above the boiling zone of the epithermal vein. So there's the potential, like there's got to be 40 or 50 veins at Las Chispas where there's been a lot of work done and very minimal work, but 2 veins to the immediate north on our project. So There's a potential that we could find a cluster there, and we believe that the boiling zones of those known veins have not been hit yet. So we're very excited to do that. And then we've also got a group of lithium projects that deposits, and we're also involved with these are clay deposits, and the mining methods for clay deposits are in evolution. And the vending company that is owning a carried interest of 10% on our Salt Lakes has this technology that looks quite promising. And so we're going to be working on everything, and we'll have more news to talk about hopefully fairly soon. The next company I wanted to talk about is HighGold. HighGold's a company I've been following for a couple of years. It's run by a guy that I know very well, Darwin Green. The reason I know him very well is in the past we worked for several years for a large geological consulting firm in Vancouver. And so Darwin is a very talented geologist and presenter, and also fundraiser. And he's got himself a really good project called Johnson Tract up in Alaska. They've already got a little over 1 million ounce indicated resource with a gold equivalent grade of 9.39 grams per ton of gold. These are not easy to find. What makes it quite distinguished is that they've got very thick intersections. So, and I believe it's wide open to expand on. And they're doing 8,000 meters of drilling, and part of it will be the Ellis zone expansion. What makes this exciting is they hit some bonanza grades of gold on this project at Ellis, which is about 4 kilometers from the JT deposit. And it starts right at surface. And it looks like it could get a lot bigger. So they're going to be doing some drilling there. They got the regional Ellis zone to work on, the JT deposit itself that they want to do more drilling on, and the JT deposit south. All of these are very good very good targets. I think that they're going to have a lot of good news out of this drilling program. Another recent development was they spun out their projects in the Yukon and in Ontario to shareholders, and they started a new company called Onyx. And so by spinning out those other, let's say, non-core assets, HighGold can now totally focus all of its funding and all of its attention on the Johnson Tract project. I am going to reach out to Darwin to get an interview fairly soon here, and to talk about these results or this work that they're doing. And he, as I said, is an excellent presenter, so I think he'll be able to give us a really good idea of what's going on with the exploration. Okay, GFG Resources announced 2 days ago that they drilled 9.97 grams of gold over 8 meters at their gold project located in the Timmins Gold District. They extended the high-grade gold mineralization at the MC Central Zone and outlining new gold mineralization 1 kilometer to the east. So look at some of these highlights here. Drilling at Montclarg continues to return high-grade and bulk tonnage intercepts, demonstrating continuity within an expanding gold system. Here's some of the grades that are in the headline of the news release. They in another hole 1 kilometer from that MC Central. They hit 2 grams of gold, or just about 2 grams of gold over 10 meters. Included in that was 4.94 grams of gold over 1.9 meters. Another hole intersected shallow mineralization with a peak of 4.09 grams of gold over 4.1 meters. Included in that was 6.28 grams of gold over 2.3 meters. Assay results from the remaining 5 holes are pending, will be announced as received. They achieved nearly 90% drilling hit rate since acquiring the Montclarg gold project in late 2021. So off to a heck of a good start. When you hit at that rate, it tells you that their geologists really understand the system and the mineralization is predictable. That's a heck of a good combination. Drilling is planned to resume in the third quarter with a focus on Montclarg and testing high priority gold targets across the Gold Arm property. In addition to the planned 10,000 to 12,000 of drilling, GFG has initiated its summer exploration activities across the Gold Arm property, which include regional geophysical and geochemical surveys, prospecting, mapping, and significant data compilation aimed at generating new regional targets. So they're really getting a handle on the geology, and this regional work, they'll be able to use that information to help them make additional discoveries. Now, there was a really good quote from Brian Skanderbeg, who is the president CEO, and he stated, and I quote, "Over the past year, we have successfully consolidated the Gold Arm property, resulting in an extensive and highly prospective regional land holding in an incredibly well-endowed and infrastructure-rich region. Our strategy is twofold. First, to advance and grow the Montclarg gold system into a system of critical mass, and second, to generate, develop, and systematically test a pipeline of priority drilled targets across the Gold Arm property. Our drilling efforts to date have primarily focused on the shallow portions of the system, where we have demonstrated strong continuity and grade. As we expand our exploration to depth and along strike, we continue to intercept high grades and outline new zones of gold mineralization, showcasing Montclarg's strong potential for new discoveries, both at depth and to the east. The same holds true for the Alho mine target and our other fully permitted regional targets. Our progress thus far underscores our commitment to maximizing the value of our assets and driving long-term growth for our stakeholders," end quote. Then they give you the details. Look at all that nice gold mineralization and some high grades hits in there and close to surface. They give you more details about the drilling, and I advise you to go to their website and check that out. That will help you to get a better handle on the GFG story. But I like what I see so far, and I'm definitely going to reach out to management to try to get an interview with them, because I love when you see a lot of gold and predictability and continuity. So I'll reach out to management and see if I can get an interview done with them in the not too distant future. All right, the final company I want to talk about today is Exploits Discovery Corp. Now, Exploits has made a very impressive discovery at their Bullseye project, which is to the immediate north of Newfound Gold. And they've hit some very high grades, and they've got the Appleton Fault, which is the key conduit that is important on the nearby Newfound Gold property going through Exploits grounds. And also important to those are your secondary structures coming off of the main deep-seated fault. These crustal faults go very deep, and that's where you find orogenic gold discoveries. And Newfound Gold has found a bunch of them, and it now looks like that trend continues on to Exploits ground at their Bullseye project. Very nice hit so far from limited drilling, and they've got a project there that they can really roll their sleeves up on. But then they also announced just yesterday that Windfall Geotech identifies new gold targets on Exploits southern properties. Windfall is one of these companies that uses big data to then create algorithms to flush out of that big data targets to drill. And they didn't help them with the Bullseye project, but they have helped them with their southern properties, which are approximately 90 kilometers south of Gander. And they announced that they have at least 12 gold targets have been identified on these southern properties. They were generated from Windfall's use of artificial intelligence and their compilation of available historic data and proprietary machine learned filtering technology. So they get all this big data. They use their algorithms to filter out the noise and try to vector in on targets to drill. And it works pretty darn good. Highlights are that at least 12 separate gold targets identified through the Windfall's work, all available current and historic data, including 4,942 gold assay results were utilized for the study. The project area is in south central Newfoundland and covers 1,208 square kilometers. Only a limited amount of exploration over the past 40 years has been conducted in the area, making it an ideal candidate for Windfall's industry-leading appraisal system. Option and joint venture opportunities are available on these properties. Jeff Swinoga, who is the president and CEO, commented, and I quote, "As we advance our new Horseshoe gold discovery and target development further to the north at our gazebo claims, we are pleased that this new technology was able to assist with identifying numerous gold targets within our relatively unexplored southern claims. We were very impressed with Windfall's predictive AI technology and its ability to highlight the potential for significant upside for new discoveries beyond the scope of the known gold mineralization on these properties." And there they've got the more details on the geological context and where those claims are located, and lots of good information about that. But I still think the other project that Horseshoe, or I think it's also called their Bullseye, I don't know which is the official name, probably Horseshoe, and but it's looking really good. I like what I see out of that. Let me just, while I'm here, click on their news section and look at, here's one of their assays. This was on June the 13th, averaging 38 grams of gold over 2.8 meters. And they had another one with visible gold assays that contained 9.84 grams of gold over 12 meters at Bullseye. So they're 12.5 grams over 3.5 meters. They're really starting to get into this Bullseye project. And as you can see here, here's the Appleton Fault. Here's all the big discoveries that Newfound has been finding. And now the Bullseye claims are finding similar kind of stuff. So I think the project has a lot of great attributes, and it looks like this other project can also be put into that category as well. So there you go. I got a couple of sponsors to talk about, a couple of picks, and some non-picks that I just saw news that really excites me, and I talked about why. But as always, my shows are for information purposes only. I'm not making buying or selling recommendations. I'm merely giving you my 30 years of experience in exploration and my insights into what I see. But of course, you have to do your homework. You have to speak with your financial advisors before making any investment decisions. And I'm a real big proponent of doing that homework. Go to these companies' websites, look at their news releases, look at their maps, look at their corporate presentations, and contact the companies. A lot of these companies that I follow, they love to talk to shareholders and potential shareholders about what they're doing. So do that homework. You want to be a well-informed investor in any sector, especially in the mining sector, in the exploration field. So there you go. Do your homework. Talk to you soon. Have a great day. And we'll, as I said, talk to you soon.